Welcome to the Think Fitness Life podcast, where we bring the mind, body, and gym together so you can improve your health, increase performance, and live your best life. For more information, visit thinkfitnesslife.com. Here are your hosts, Matt Gluckman and Eric Menchie.
All right, welcome back to the Think Fitness Life podcast. This week, we are interviewing Justin Riddick. He has been a personal trainer for over 11 years in the industry. He has his bachelor's in applied exercise science. He has his ACE certified personal training, as well as his ISSA, along with sports nutrition in ISSA. He is the co-owner and co-founder of Riddick Fitness and Noshwell Nutrition. Welcome, Justin Riddick, everybody.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, dude, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. I know you have a lot of good experience and a lot of good knowledge that not only should be heard, but needs to be heard to just help people achieve their goals. A lot of people, our one we launched off this year was just about kind of New Year's resolutions and all the stats around New Year's resolutioners and what kind of leads them to not hitting their goal. So I feel like when your experience, you're training, like what are the what's like the smallest group size and what's the largest group size?
So right now, group sizes are intentionally very small. But with the new business platform I'm moving into right now, the goal is to focus on quality versus quantity. So I've coached boot camps before where I've had 60, 70, 100 people out there. And when you're one person coaching 40, 50, 60, 100 people, it's just, there's only so much that you can control and actually do. So right now my class is smaller. They range in size from 6 to 15 people. And I feel like it's about like the perfect amount for really being able to manage and properly like coach group classes. So classes right now about 6 to 15. Surprisingly, not a huge boost during like the whole New Year's resolution that usually goes on. That may have to do with all just the craziness going on in the world right now. But
What's crazy? Just kidding.
2020 is over, man.
I know it's been quite a year of adjustments for sure. So you said that you were doing larger groups like 50, 60, and now you're down to like somewhere to 8 to 15. Is that because of people getting just better results that way?
So the goal with running smaller classes is to, yes, provide better product, better coaching, more modalities to use out of class. Like when you have a ton of people, I mean, you're limited by what you have for equipment when you have groups that size. But when you have small, then you can fortunately have a pretty decent collection of equipment in my garage gym right now, so I can bring all that up to my classes. So it's far easier to coach smaller groups than the extremely large groups that I've coached in the past.
What are some of the benefits you've seen in the large groups? Just contrasting, comparing the two, like what would be the pros list for the larger group setting, 60 to 70?
In the large groups, sometimes there can be a lot of energy, obviously, with a large group out there. People feed off each other's energy and people get really excited and hyped up to be a part of something so massive and so big. But on the other side of the coin there's some people like, this is just too much for me. Some people prefer those smaller, more intimate groups where you don't feel like just another number out there. So I definitely, there's the pros of being, it's exciting and there's tons and tons of people involved. And like 2 years ago, we ran this giant boot camp at Raymond James Stadium here in Tampa. And it was, we literally had like, I think close to 1,000 people there. And it wasn't just a single person running it, but we had people that were split up into different stations and they would cycle through to each coach and go through some training. So the energy there was definitely really cool.
Yeah, just feel like you're a big part of a big community.
Yeah, and that really is, I think, what a lot of people are looking for when they do choose to do a group fitness program. They're looking for a community. They're looking for other like-minded people to take part in the same thing they're doing. They're looking for inspiration. They're looking for motivation. And that's what you get with group training versus one-on-one training. I mean, one-on-one training. We've all done it before. Sometimes you're texting your clients and you literally have to like drag them into the gym sometimes. That is. So when you have other people that are doing the same thing as you have more accountability. You have
Accountability.
people that are develop these friendships, these relationships, and you look forward to seeing your friends out of class. So it's really cool.
Do you feel like there is, you're talking about kind of, I guess, personality types or characteristic types that go into the group training. Do you feel like there is sort of a divide between like the people who want larger groups, maybe versus the people who want smaller groups? Like, in terms of, do you think the larger group people really are just more focused on getting out, being in a large group and feeling like somewhat accomplished, but they're not necessarily driven by results, where the smaller group intimacy, they sort of want that added knowledge, they maybe even want more results?
Yeah,
I guess you could say like the mental investment would be the best way to
right.
think of that.
Now, there's obviously in no matter what the group size, we we have those people that are there for the social aspect of it, for the mental health aspect of it. So I think when we think about oftentimes we think about fitness, we just think of simply just the physical results that we're achieving. But there's so much more to fitness than just the physical results. Like our health and wellness field, it's your overall wellness. So a lot of people come for the psychological results and like the socializing of it. So I've had people that are extremely outgoing and are just a very lively personality that you would think would thrive in a situation where there's tons of people and actually prefer smaller groups. And then vice versa. I've had some people who are very, introvert and don't like being surrounded by a ton of people who are like, wow, this is amazing being with all these people and this energy is just incredible. So there really is no, I think, rhyme or
Cookie
reason.
cutter.
It's just, it comes down to the individual and what they prefer. Me personally, I definitely prefer the smaller settings. I like to be in control of what's going on, and when you have that many people, sometimes it's really easy to lose control and things get pretty chaotic. So
Well, that's just a testament too to kind of the product you provide, is the level of training and attention you bring is deeper than just kind of being a cheerleader and rah rah keeping momentum going and okay squat, okay push up. Like, you're doing more intricate things, and you're also improving people's performance for the next day, as well as just worrying about them getting a workout that day. I'm curious though, you said something about psychological benefits. Do you have maybe a short list in mind of kind of what those psychological benefits are? And do you have any way that you maybe keep track of that, or maybe have seen those benefits?
I've never actually thought about keeping track of something like that.
It's hard.
Yeah, that's not something I would know off the top of my head how to do very easily, but it's definitely something to look into.
But I guess it's something that you've noticed, maybe even just people's moods.
You definitely
General, yeah.
something you definitely notice, and sometimes the people that are experiencing that change don't even notice it. Like, it takes an outside perspective to really see it and see that change in people's attitude, their personality, their just their liveliness, like kind of just the life that they have in them.
If they're present, they're not just like a zombie.
Absolutely. So I've had, and it can fluctuate. I mean, it's not something that once you have it, it's stuck and it's consistent. Like like maintaining physical health and maintaining mental health is the same. Like, it takes work every single day. So
Yeah.
I've had some people come out and they've been in a horrible mood at the beginning of a workout, and then the goal is by the time they're done with the workout to leave in a good mood. And I mean, I'd like to say that usually happens most of the time.
Depends what you have written for them that day, right?
Sometimes it's a love-hate relationship with your trainer. So you may
Yeah.
show up in a great mood and then see what the workout is for the day and be like, oh, I really hate you right now, Justin. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure they all usually like me at the end.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like because we all kind of trained in the heart of the financial district in Boston. I feel like we all had the experience where it's clients cursing, yelling, bitching at us.
Yeah, for sure. But
Um,
there's a lot to be said about like what you get out of training, not just physically, but psychologically as well. So I definitely think that that's especially in these times where people are just craving and like thriving some sort of like sense of normalcy and some socialization. Like, people are just looking for something to be a part of. And I think that's what's nice about group classes, is that it's not just you going into the gym and stuck in your own head and listening to whatever it is you have on your headphones. Like, you still get an opportunity to interact and socialize with people, which is, I think, you don't think of it as a skill set, but it's something I feel like people are forgetting how to do, is really like
Yeah,
socialize and interact.
socialize.
Yeah. So much of it's just done through technology these days and doing these like video chats that we have right now and texting back and forth. So it's
Yeah,
good.
and you even think of how kind of like the medical field has progressed. It's like you go see your doctor and he's just in front of a computer screen the whole time, just typing everything in. You don't even get like the FaceTime. We've kind of stepped away from kind of that person to person connectivity, and that's definitely something you provide. Do you, quick question though, do you like did you transition to group training because like you wanted to feel more effective with your hour in a way? Like you're able to maximize your effectiveness,
Absolutely.
your
So
impact?
once you've, and I mean, both you guys have experienced it when you're working in a gym and there's only so many hours a day that you have to see your people and see your clients. Like you're limited by the hours in a day. And one of the things that really like intrigued me, I never thought that I'd be a group fitness instructor. I was like, nope, that's not me. Like I'm not going to be rocking any like leg warmers and being like Richard Simmons up there. Like that's not my style. I'm definitely a personal trainer, and I never ever pictured myself being like a group fitness instructor or coach.
If you saw the classes that were that the style that they were ran back at our other gym.
But what really intrigued me was more so from, to be completely honest, from a business standpoint and thinking like, all right, when I was in a gym training, I'm thinking to myself, all right, for how long can I run 10 sessions a day, 12 sessions a day? Like you can't keep that up every day,
Yeah.
week in and week out, month in and month out. And what really attracted me to group training was the fact that you can help so many more people in such a shorter amount of time. So whereas
Yeah.
one-on-one training, you see one person, you affect that one person for 1 hour. Like when in an hour, I can impact the health and fitness and mental health of 50 to 100 people at a single time, which is, it's a double-edged sword though. Like there definitely is there's a part of me that still really misses and enjoys personal training. So I still do personal training clients that do a lot of personal training, but there's a sense of, there's a little bit that's lacking in group fitness, and
Yeah.
it's tough to really still give it the best personal touch that you can. And that's what my goal is right now, is to try to still offer that like personal training touch in a group
Mhm.
setting. And it's it's definitely a challenge, but that's the goal, is to figure out how to do that the best way.
Yeah, no, it's definitely taxing on a trainer to try to. You're giving so much of yourself in that hour, and to try to do that for more than 7 or 8 hours a day consistently, 5 6 days a week is draining for sure and taxing, and so that you can give yourself to that hour but have 3 to 10 people listening to you. I can totally understand why you feel much more impactful that way.
Yeah.
So where did your interest for kind of wedding these two worlds together begin, of like kind of sounds like kind of like personal training and group fitness, kind of wedding into like smaller training,
Right.
smaller
So
group training?
I like the way you put that, wedding them together. I'm definitely trying to get the best of both worlds here. Yeah. So it came from, I developed such a great following of members and clients through my group training, and it got to the point where like I think not only myself but also my people were just, they were looking for like that something, that next step. Like there's only so much, not only so much, but you don't want to be limited in what you can do within a group class, but
Because of the size, right?
eventually you're going to hit a ceiling. It's like, all right, at first, if you're a new member of a group class, you show up, you're killing it in the beginning, and maybe you haven't done any sort of exercise in years. So just being introduced to group classes 3 to 5 times a week is great for you. But the goal is to eventually, obviously, progress and get results. And eventually you're going to outgrow what's capable in just a group class. And not to say that group classes aren't a good, platform for health and your fitness, but eventually you're going to outgrow what you can do in just that setting. So I wanted to find a way to kind of take it to the next level. So what I do now is I have I have my group class. I've got about 40 members that I see throughout the week, and that's divided over 3 classes that I run. I run a 5 a.m., an 8 a.m., and a 6:15 p.m. So over the course of a training day, I see close to anywhere from 30 to 40 people. And
That's awesome.
what I do is make sure I meet with every single person one-on-one before we go into the group training. That way we go through what their goals are. We go through a fitness assessment and we do a movement screening. We do in-body. We do all that just so I can get as much information about them as possible. So that way I can help them as much as possible when we're in that group setting. So if you come out to a group class and you're one of 100, you really are just another number. And that's not what I want. I want to add more quality to the training. So the more I know about my people, the more I can help them. And that's really the goal, is to just try to give it that personal training touch in that small group setting.
That's really cool. Yeah, I think that's really smart. And I would think that any group trainer would want to try to employ something like that, except most group trainers, I feel like, kind of get into it because they were super energetic, they were super fit, and they had a good following. But I feel like what you bring to the table is your years of experience, both in the classroom and on the pitch, and your attention to detail that can provide that quality of training in that group setting, which is definitely not an easy feat to do.
No, it's not.
And so, how long have you been training in these sort of more intimate group sizes?
So this actually, I transitioned. It's something I've been flirting with for a while, probably the past year or so, and it all came to fruition last July, August. So August was when I ran my first. That's when Riddick Fitness and Natural Nutrition really took off, and we finally decided to launch our group classes and our training. So I've been doing it now, coming up on so about 6 months, a little more than 6 months now.
Dude, that's badass and a testament to you launching a group setting, group training in the midst of a pandemic.
I didn't do it easy, not at all. But it's like there's too often we sit around and think well, what if, and when's the best time? We sit around waiting for the best time,
You got to make the best time.
You got to make that time happen. So, and there are a few other factors that played into me deciding to just say, hey, all right, let's go. We're going to do this and let's get it rolling. But it definitely, I think starting it and building it from the ashes, almost from such a difficult time, is really what's proven to me that it's definitely, it's worthwhile. It's important. It's here to stay. It's not going to go anywhere. So if we can make it through that, then we can make it through anything.
I think taking care of yourself is definitely here to stay for sure for the long term. What was funny is, we saw a dip at our gym for about 4 or 5 months, but kind of when things kind of got settled and people just had the itch and they wanted to take care of themselves. And I think there's no better way to take care of your health and be proactive about your health and try to make yourself the strongest, both physically, mentally, and biologically that you can.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen any major shifts or contrasts in the industry since you began even? I mean, with COVID, yes, but kind of with your move and then transitioning from larger groups to smaller groups, have you seen any trends or big contrasts?
Absolutely. I think the biggest trend right now is everything's virtual. And I think that's
Wait, your group training is virtual?
So not my group, virtual,
okay.
My group specifically, but just the trend in the industry is so much.
Oh yeah.
You've got the Peloton bike, which is now not just a Peloton bike, now it's a Peloton treadmill, and they got Peloton yoga, and they got Peloton boot camps, and then you've got the mirror. I think it's called I don't even know what it's called, I think tonal or something like that. So
there's a couple of them.
One of my people, they were telling me you should be a Peloton coach, or you should be a coach for this. And I was like, it sounds all fine and dandy. I was like, it's just not me. And I've had many people tell me oh, you got the personality to be, just put together a video and be like the next Insanity guy or P90X guy. I was like, that's just not my personality. That's not my style. I like to be in person. I'm far more organic and natural than trying to put on a
show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I've had some clients. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I've had a lot of people I think a lot of the virtual thing is definitely, it's a necessity right now. And I think what's great about it is the convenience that you can really do out from home, whether you're traveling on the road. It's always there and accessible, which I think it's a great thing, but it still use a little bit of that personal touch. And I'm not, well versed in all the platforms that are out there right now, so I can't speak too much on them. But I definitely have a few of my people that have gone virtual and done their Peloton work and still come to me and see me in person. But I think nothing's ever going to beat good old fashioned in person training.
Totally. And or even just the level of attention you can bring by being with somebody in that time rather than I don't know if they're pre-recorded on Peloton or whatnot, but you're not talking directly to the individual or getting feedback from them and maybe adjusting accordingly based upon some feedback. And there's a lot to be said for the accountability piece of the difference between, oh, I'll log on to Peloton and pick a workout versus Justin's going to be at the gym at 6 o'clock. I need to be there at 6 o'clock to meet with him. Or even if it's Zoom, like it's just an accountability piece. Cause again, that personable level. So kind of going more into the training, thinking of the client or the individual for our listeners, we like I said, we talked about one on New Year's resolutions, and we talked about some easy mistakes that people can fall into that we wanted people to be aware of so they could avoid it. And what are some common mistakes that you see people fall into that we can try to prevent becoming a habit before it starts? Where to begin?
Yeah, it's tough. There's really, I wouldn't necessarily call them, I don't want to refer to them as mistakes, but they're definitely things that they're obstacles that people struggle with. And I think one of the biggest obstacles is, and it's now, and I feel like it's always been the biggest obstacle, I feel like for most people, is really just that commitment and like
Okay.
having a true reason and like a strong why behind what they're doing.
Ooh, yeah,
So
for sure.
there's a great book I read by Simon Sinek called Start With Why. And that's like a really like, that's after I read that book, it always stuck with me that like, why are you doing what you're doing? Like, if you don't have a strong enough why, then it doesn't matter what you're doing or how long you're doing it. Like, it's likely not going to work or it's not going to stick. So you gotta have a strong why behind everything that you do. And I think a lot of people go into, whether it's a New Year's resolution or goal setting for whatever it may be, like they just don't establish their why before they establish their goal. So that way, when they start to work at their goal, the second it gets hard, it's like, oh well, all right, this kind of sucks.
Oh,
So
100%.
I'm just
Yeah.
gonna flake on it a little bit, and I'll come back to it because they just don't have like the foundation's not set before we start
Yeah,
pedaling.
it's like their goal is basically like a wish. And as soon as they came up against the first adversary towards their wish, they're like, well, it wasn't that important to me
Yeah.
anyway. So do
So
you include that in your one-on-one with each person before your groups? Like, do you have a portion where you're kind of like, I guess, motivational interviewing or helping them figure out what their why is?
I've tried it in the past. I'll be completely honest. It's something that I struggle with. I'm very I draw motivation, inspiration from everything in life, like whether it's what I'm reading at the time, whether it's my family, I just draw inspiration, motivation from everything. And
Yeah.
like most people, like your motivation doesn't always stick. It doesn't always last. Like sometimes you need to find something new every single day
It evolves.
to inspire you. So I was just telling one of my clients the other day, I was like, one of the things I've struggled with the most, I feel like over my past 10 years of training is finding the right way to motivate people. I'm
Mm.
not one of those, I'm not a yeller, I'm not a screamer. I mean, I run boot camps, but I'm not that like boot camp drill sergeant type. I'm more of a like, I'll plant a seed and see if it grows. If that seed doesn't grow, then I'll try planting another seed and see if that grows. And if that doesn't grow, then you just keep picking new spots to plant seeds, and hopefully one of these days it'll finally click. And it's definitely, I've seen it happen to people. Things just click and like, they have that aha moment and you see it in them. And those are the people that really make a big, big difference and a big change when they can finally just like realize like, hey, like this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Um,
Mm.
but it's a struggle. And I think that's where a lot of the mental health struggles come in too, is that people just like, they get defeated when they don't achieve their goals. But sometimes a goal isn't meant to be attained. Sometimes a goal is just something to shoot for.
What do you notice when someone has that aha moment, what's like the first thing that you pick up on where you're like, oh wow, okay, it worked. That seed's growing in them. Like,
Yeah,
what's one of the first things you might notice when someone gets extremely motivated?
their excitement. They're like they're eager and they're looking forward to
They got that hunger.
yeah, hunger. That's a good word. Yeah, like they're like, all right, nothing's gonna get in the way. They're in the right mindset and they're looking for that next challenge and they're excited to take on whatever you throw at them.
There's definitely something to be said for just being that aspirational figure. I mean, I was very fortunate to have you as my mentor at Equinox, and you didn't give me the fish by any means, which was even better for me to kind of like see everything coming in and kind of like drive that change from within. And it's such a hard job to like get somebody motivated, right? Like they talk about hiring, and they say how they'd rather hire someone who's an overworker because they can pull them back a little bit, but someone who doesn't do work at all, it's hard to get them up to that momentum of level of kind of productivity or competency. And I remember even it's like sitting in managers meetings and they would be like, it's not your job to motivate clients. Like, you can't set the alarm for them. You can't get them out of bed. You can't bring them to the gym. And while that's true, it's like, well, I'm there with them for an hour. And if something's holding them back mentally or emotionally or whatever it may be, it's you almost feel just like at a humanistic level, like I want to try to help this person overcome that, because in the end, that's what's standing in the way of their goals, not this 5 pound dumbbell versus the 10 pound dumbbell.
So,
Yeah, so it comes from within. And it's funny how I admire your humbleness to say that that's something you struggle with, because I think that's something that like everyone struggles with, unless you're like Tony Robbins and you've kind of figured out how to motivate people on a mass scale.
right. It's definitely the longer I've trained, the more I've realized that like as a personal trainer, you wear so many hats and you guys know it. You've been in sessions where like 1 second we're trying to teach you how to hip hinge and deadlift with proper form, and the next second I'm playing like Dr. Phil here.
Oh, 100%.
Person, not just personal training, but when you work in the health and wellness like industry, like you become far more of a lifestyle coach than anything else. Like if it really was just about, hey, hit these numbers on for your max effort back squat and deadlifts and bench press, like then it'd be easy. We'd all do it. But like that's
Right.
the part. The easy part is doing the physical work for most people. The hard part is the lifestyle changes, the behavioral changes, the attitude.
Sleep, the nutrition.
There's so much
Yeah.
into it. Like the physical part really is the easiest part. All you gotta do is show up
Yeah.
and someone tell you, hey, look, do this, do that, rest now, rest there, ready, go. Like, and I think it's why a lot of people lean towards having a coach or a trainer, because they don't want that extra stimulus of like, oh, I need to figure out what to do on my own. Can't someone just tell me what to do? And like I've had so many clients that have very demanding jobs and busy lives, and they just have so much on their plate. The last thing they want to do is show up to the gym and think about, all right, what do I need to now put together for myself? They just want someone
Right.
to take that burden off their plate, So
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. It's kind of funny because it just feels like exercise is really our foot in the door to get people to listen to us about the other changes we want them to implement.
right, it's so much more than just exercise. There's so much to it. Yeah,
But it's like if you put on the display group life coaching or life coaching here, everyone's gonna be like, what the heck is this guy talking about? But you got to put it as personal training, like we're here to move weight. And but then again, I also kind of revert back to like understanding that the physique, the strength, the athleticism, that's like the trophy at the end of the road that prove that you have the discipline to dial in your sleep, your nutrition, your consistency, your motivation, your stress, all that stuff. So I do feel like in a way it's like you use that again as a way to kind of like distract them while you make all these other changes in their life.
yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It really is. There's so much more to it, and I think most people don't realize what they're getting themselves into when they seek out a personal trainer. And I think a lot of personal trainers don't realize what they're getting themselves into when they seek the profession of being a personal trainer.
Yeah.
There's so much more that goes into it than just the physical aspects of it all. But
And that's why hats off to you, man. Like that's why I stick with personal training. I don't even like when I get like couples or small groups, like 3 to 4 people, because I feel like I'm trying to interchange hats so frequently for each person that I can't always lead and break down to have like a little one-on-one side by side and still lead. You know what I mean? So hats off to you for being able to kind of balance all those hats with all those people as well.
it's a challenge, but it's something, fortunately, it's something that comes relatively natural for me. I don't know how to explain it. It's
I
just,
think it's because you're like slow and methodical about things. Just the
um,
way you talk too. You're not like speeding up, Speedy Gonzalez, getting everything out as quick as you can.
I think sometimes I get going and I speak a little too quick, and it's like, I don't understand what I just said. Do you guys understand what I just said? And things, um, I think a lot of it has to do with just by nature, I have a very laid back personality. Like when it's time to work, like it's time to put in work. But other than that, like I have a very calm and laid back demeanor. So I don't let things eat me up too much. I don't let things, how do I put it? Like the anxiety doesn't really get to me of like, all right, well, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do that. At least not in a coaching sense. Don't get me wrong. There's other things in life where like I feel like I'm treading water and trying to wear multiple hats. But when it comes to training, fortunately it's pretty natural for me.
You feel pretty well regulated.
Yeah.
Last couple questions, and then we'll let you go. But where do you see yourself with this? Like, it sounds like everything's working really well, and eventually you're going to need to start hiring other trainers and coaching them to be the representative of your vision the way you are. Like, where would you see yourself? Like, do you really, really like just working one on one, or do you really like just working on strength days, or just working on like conditioning days? I just was kind of getting a feel for maybe what you're enjoying most with your training these days.
It's funny you asked that because it's something I've been putting a lot of thought into recently. One of my buddies down here, my chiropractor, has mentioned to me before. He's like, "Yeah, you got to build this up and franchise it and get other people to train with you and this and that." And I'm like, I'm such a like I've adopted such like a simple lifestyle that like I'm like, nah, I'm good. Just let it be a mom and pop sort of deal, and it'll just be me and Julia taking care of everything. Like we can take care of it all. And then
That's great.
when I thought like big picture, I was like, let's be completely honest. Let's be real. Though, like, do I want to be waking up and coaching classes at 5 o'clock in the morning when I'm 55 and 60 years old? Probably not.
Yeah.
I'm taking this youth while I have it, but it's definitely something I've thought about a lot recently and how it's going to need to evolve because I like to travel. It'd be great to be able to travel, the country and work completely remotely from wherever you are. And that's so much of the industry this like right now is going in that direction where if you just ran classes virtually, you could literally run classes from wherever you are at the time as long as you have a good Wi-Fi service. So
Yeah. Right.
and then I know a lot of people that do just the online coaching and just programming. And I've thought about just programming and then touching base with people and being more of I guess, less of a personal trainer and more of a accountability coach, I guess you can kind of consider it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
instead of just like being the in-person, let me lead you through the workout guy, like be the person that's just there to hold you accountable. But that takes sometimes just as much, if not more work. I mean, Julie does a lot of meal planning for her clients right now, and the amount of time that she invests in all of her clients, it's incredible. And I look at her sometimes like, you should just do the training part. That's so much easier.
But to her, she probably feels that part's easier because she's so passionate about it.
She loves it, but it's a lot of work and it's a lot of investment in time. But it's not work when it sounds so cliche and so corny, but like it's not work when you enjoy what you're doing.
Mhm.
That's life, and that's the way it is. That's the way you want it to be. But I'm definitely thinking about how things will evolve in the future, especially as Aiden gets older, and who knows, maybe I'll just have Aiden be the next coach of Riddick Fitness. And
I've seen her squat. I've seen her row.
let her take over the reins there. So
She's in the top percentile of her age group.
I think so. If there's a toddler Olympics, let me know when they're on.
She'll get gold in all categories. Well, it's definitely it is cliche, but so true. Like if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life, and I think that's something that you want to see out of a trainer, right? Someone who cares about your health and wellness. You want to make sure you're with someone who's so loving in their so much enjoyment in their field that they love what they do, and it kind of bleeds out into the service they provide. Like Menchie's freaking research and development revert to for any question. He's like the human Google. He just soaks up every textbook and binder and book and rereads, and I'll get like text messages of a page of a book. It's just great.
I
So
see all
just
I see all those binders behind him right now, and I'm thinking like, oh, yeah, I can only imagine what's that.
and those are custom binders too of like different research articles and stuff. They're not even like published. It's great.
I admire you for that. That's something I wish I did more of when I had the time. Like, not to sound like I don't have time to do things now, but with a almost
It's like,
2-year-old running around, like now I have a taste of all my clients have always said like, oh, wait till you have kids, you run out of time. It doesn't seem like there's enough hours in the day. Now clearly there is, where there's a
yeah,
will, you'll get it done, but there's not as much quiet time too. And I'm one of those people like I need like an empty room. I need silence. I need to really like dive into the material and to digest it. Otherwise, I'm reading the same sentence 25 times in a row.
Oh yeah.
for sure. That's why I do a lot of Audible books on CD, just kind of drive as I'm driving or hiking or something.
Right,
All right, so last two questions. What's your favorite quote?
dude. That's a tough one because I'm a quote guy. Like I'm that sort of person that's got
You're
like
talking to a quote guy.
no, I'm definitely I'm a quote guy though. I've got
Give me give me a
I've,
couple. Give me a couple.
I've got like separate like folders and files on my phone just of like quotes that I keep. But if I had to think of a couple that like right off the top of my head that come to mind,
Yeah. What's fresh? What's coming to mind?
one that's stuck with me literally for like almost most of my adult life. I don't know who I heard it from or where I learned it, but I was like in high school when I heard this quote. But super simple and straightforward. Like nothing comes easy. Nothing worth having comes easy. And I think it just, you know, proves that hard work, you need to apply hard work to everything that you do. If it's really worth having, it's not going to come easy. So don't sit there and expect handouts or things just going to fall into your lap and life's going to be great. Like anything truly worth having requires a lot of hard work. So nothing worth having comes easy.
I think that's definitely needing to be heard and said nowadays with a lot of instant gratification and a lot of it's kind of forced people to thinking that they can just be super successful with an Instagram following, and as soon as they're met with a little bit of resistance, they kind of crumble like cards because they're not used to that hard work reward balance, right? Like I mean, we introduced participation trophies, so kind of devalued the whole hard work ethic, and so it's a good one.
But yeah,
And then
I've got
you
so
got another one.
I've got so many that they almost tend to like just bleed into each other. So we'll just keep it simple with that one. Nothing worth having comes easy. Remember that.
Well, I want to hear another one, but let's hear it after this first. Though, what's your favorite spare time activity? Maybe you have to envision yourself before you had Aiden.
Oh no, I teach her well, so she's right there with me. It's gonna make me sound like such a couch potato, but man, you put on a soccer game. It doesn't matter who's playing. I mean, my team is Manchester United, but you put on a soccer game, and like that's just don't do it.
That's awesome.
One of my clients asked me today. She's like, "So if you weren't a trainer, what would you do?" I was like, I wish I was a analyst for professional soccer, and I could just get paid to watch as much soccer as humanly possible all day, every day.
And have like your own morning show breaking down the games of the night before and stuff.
Yep. I wouldn't do live commentary though. I'm not that witty. I'm not
Goal.
eight in that one. So yeah, highlight of the weekend was Manchester United was playing Liverpool over the weekend. And Manchester scored a goal, and Aiden put your fist in the air and goes goal.
You were probably so proud.
Like that's it. That's all I need. You've learned well. So
That's awesome.
yep.
That's awesome. Well, we should mic drop on another quote if you have one fresh on your brain right now.
I think one that's breakfast in my brain was really staring at my Kobe Bryant poster while I was working out earlier today. And just and
Rest in peace. This is the anniversary. We're recording it on his anniversary.
rest at the end, not in the middle, is something that he's quoted by saying. So when you're doing your work, like, you can get your work done, rest at the end, not in the middle. There's no time to rest in the middle. And that's just it tells you, like, you can't cut corners. Don't cheat yourself when there's work to be done. So
I love that.
hard work is everything. So when you're doing something, give it 100% effort, and you can rest at the end. But until you get to the end, just keep grinding, keep going. So rest at the end, not in the middle.
Great way to end. Justin Riddick with Riddick Fitness and Nashville Nutrition, everybody. Peace out.
If you're ready to make steps towards improving your health or increasing your performance, book a free 30-minute call today by visiting thinkfitnesslife.com.